Did I not do it? Go live and play intro?
I don't see a countdown.
No. Why is it not doing it? Yeah, I got go live and play intro. Let me leave this window and come back.
All right.
Oh man, I don't know. Can you be left side? Left side?
I can handle the left side.
Let me see here. We gotta assume our positions.
Okay. There you go. That's true. Yeah, no, it'll mess up the mojo.
Can I so I'd be looking at you like this.
Are we live right now? Because it says in stream.
Oh shit! I guess we are live right now.
Dude, we are. I think we are just live.
That's real
right
unprofessional.
I just don't think it gave us a countdown.
It didn't give us a countdown, but we're 2 minutes in. This is excellent stuff. Right. Excellent radio.
Yeah.
Okay. So folks, welcome to the Georgia Voice of College Football. This is Georgia Bulldogs Live. That's the show we do here every Tuesday at 8 o'clock ish. We like to call it. So I appreciate everyone joining. Hopefully no one's joined in for the first 2 minutes because that wasn't the best. Yeah. That wasn't the best showing. But it's me. It's my partner here, Bo Underwood. And welcome, Bo. How's it going, man?
Dude, I'm good, Matt. How are you?
I'm excellent, sir. It's I can't complain. This is we're in the dog days of the college football off season. You know, it's a long ways away, but the NFL draft is a nice little nugget for the college football fans. I love how in the last few years they've started to like have the game day crew like on a different channel. I think there's a lot of people that watch the NFL draft from a college perspective and want to know how many players from this school were drafted, yada yada. And it's like people who really watch the game from the college perspective instead of knowing what the Carolina Panthers needs are.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I do think it's a cool way to incorporate college fans into the game. Because when Mel Kiper starts droning on and on about the Carolina Panthers offseason or the New Orleans Saints left tackle situation, I understand why it might be a turnoff for some people. It's not for me, but I do
for
get
sure.
That.
And some people, just love ball. I definitely, my allegiance is more in college than the pros. And then, so I just want to see, how many Georgia players get drafted. Yeah. So, but we'll get to the NFL draft, our NFL draft talk, a little bit later. For those out there, if you want to get your business, product, service, or personal brand to the next level, start with partnering with the Voice of College Football. Contact us at sponsorships@vocfb.com today. So, Bo, let's talk about what's really the hottest news right now in the college football world, which I would say is the spring transfer portal. This is open from the 16th, starting last week to Friday, the 25th. So, as you could imagine with anything in college football, things are happening so fast. I'm sure no one contacted any of these schools before the portal window opened. They just knew like 2 days later where they wanted to go.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, that's what it is. It's just kind of a chaotic period right now. The Nico Iamaleava situation has I guessed as I guess finalized at UCLA. His
Finally.
brother's coming with him to UCLA too. So whole family reunion they got going on there. But yeah, so the big news, I think, I guess we start with the bad news, start with the good news.
I guess we can start with the outgoing guys.
Let's start with the outgoing guys, because you called it, man. On this podcast like a week ago, you were just like, Nitro Tuggle, doubt he ever plays another game for Georgia, or whatever you said.
Yeah.
And Nitro Tuggle hit the portal. He's gonna end up at Purdue. Branson Robinson hit the portal, which he's one of those. I feel like he'll be called a bust, in Georgia circles, but he just can never stay healthy. I feel like you saw the ability at times, but the guy just never can stay healthy. So we'll see where he ends up. Then Chris Peel announced today that he's going to the portal, the defensive back. And then Marcus Easley, the other one, along with Nitro Tuggle, that got in a little legal trouble recently. He's also going to hit the portal. So that's all I have, right? Those four, I think that's all that's hit the portal.
Yeah. On the guys on scholarship, at least.
So what are your thoughts on those four? Anything you got to add?
I mean, Tuggle and Easley are guys that I think you could kind of see that from a mile away after the way that things went down. Especially, I mean, both of them were doing dumb things. Don't get me wrong. Tuggle was going 107 on the Athens 10 loop, which is never a good idea. But, man, Marcus Easley drove into a house. Like, yeah,
I was going to just driving 100 is much more understandable.
Like that, I mean, I don't mean to keep going on and on about how bad it is, because I really don't. I mean, it's a college kid who's made stupid decisions. We've all been there, but like,
yeah,
dude, like, I don't know. So it's just a really unfortunate way for those two guys' careers at Georgia to end, because they're both very talented players, and I have no doubt that they can still grow up a little bit, mature, learn from their mistakes, and have very good football careers. But it's just unfortunate that it won't be at Georgia. And I hope the best for them, and I hope that they don't do anything like that again. I hope that they learn from this. Nitro Tuggle, I'm pretty bummed about, man. I mean, that was one of the dudes that, as a freshman, I feel like had a lot of hype coming in. Cool name, really cool skill set. Like,
definitely a cool name.
He's a guy that they liked a lot. He got on the field a pretty good bit second half of the season. I know he only caught 3 passes on the year, or however many it was, but he was getting snaps, and it was you could kind of see that they were trending in a certain direction with him, and it's just very unfortunate that it ended up the way it did.
Yeah, and especially since Kirby Smart got to Georgia, like those guys that are kind of the lower level recruits in the class, that especially then, and I think Nitro's one that kind of like rose up the rankings kind of after he committed to Georgia. He ended up as a 4-star, right? But he wasn't. He was kind of
he was a 4-star.
I want to say it was kind of like a 3-star, kind of unknown when he first committed.
Yeah, he's from Indiana, and he had to rise up a little bit. He's not from a football hotbed or anything. So
yeah, and Georgia's track record.
I think he's one of those guys who had more eyes on him once he committed to Georgia.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. And Georgia's track record with those kind of guys is just so good that's one reason I'm disappointed. But yeah, I'm not gonna say I ever drove 100 on the loop. I know I've hit 90 on the loop, so it's like I have some understanding for that. The Marcus Easley that's some extraordinary bad decision making. We'll leave it at that. But yeah, Branson Robinson, curious to see where he ends up. Obviously, none of these guys can end up in the SEC next year. So it'll be interesting what happens there. But the gains, the good news in the transfer portal, which I've never really seen this. Just 3 guys announced all at the same time. Is this a very interesting way of breaking the news?
I guess they wanted to make it nice and easy for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. So it kind of makes me wonder if they're going to land anyone else out of the portal, just because the way these 3 guys were announced immediately. And you're seeing Bo Atkinson, the North Carolina transfer, start to get some predictions to Ohio State. But yeah, so Georgia gets Elo Modozie, the outside linebacker, edge rush from Army. Josh Joshua McCray, the running
Right.
back from Illinois, and then are they? Did I write that down? They're both Joshua. Okay, I was wondering if I was worried I wrote that down.
Josh Horton from,
and then Josh Horton, the last one from Miami. So what are your immediate thoughts when it comes to some of these transfer portal guys?
Yeah, I mean, none of them. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and act like I know a lot about many of these guys' games, but I do remember reading something when Branson Robinson hit the portal that I forget which article it was, but whichever article it was, freaking called it, man, because they were like, the bottom second paragraph of it was like, oh yeah, and Illinois running back Josh McCray is a target in the portal for Georgia. I remember reading that and being like, that's an oddly specific thing to say. And then he actually committed like 3 days later. I think Elo Modozie is the one that I'm probably most excited about, not because I know a ton about his game or anything, but just because outside linebacker, man. I mean, we talked about it last week or maybe the week before. Like, that group is looking really rough. They just don't have a lot of bodies there after, you have Jalon and Mykel going to the draft, Chaz Chambliss graduating / going to the draft, Damon Wilson transferring. Like, they just needed guys in that room. So I think it's a positive no matter what to just get another guy there, regardless of, how productive of a player he ends up being. And yeah, same thing. I mean, Josh McCray. The one thing that I hope doesn't happen is, do you remember Lynette Whitehead?
Oh, of course.
I hope this is the
Athens Academy, I believe.
Yeah. Athens Academy, Tennessee transfer who transferred to Athens and then disappeared into thin air. So I would like to see that not happen with Josh McCray. I'd like to see him get a carry in a Georgia uniform this time. But yeah,
that's a little bit specific of a transfer, though. I don't even think he had a scholarship. Lynette Whitehead.
Did he? Oh no, yeah, you're right. He didn't. But that's just what I remember, like a late season transfer running back edition from a Power 5 school or Power 4 school, Power 2 really nowadays. But I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then he never played. So I hope that doesn't happen with Josh McCray. But yeah, that's another guy. They needed another guy there because. Yeah, Branson Robinson transferring, Roger Garbinson is not a guy that they can really rely on given his health history. So yeah, I'm excited about all these guys. Josh Horton, another addition for that D-line group. That's another group that needed some new guys there after losing Stackhouse and Brinson. So I think if anything else, these are 3 positions that Georgia needed to address, and it's a good thing that they went out there and did that.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's Trevor Etienne. It feels a little closer to Trevor Etienne, right? Kind of a guy who's like a co-leading rusher at his previous school, but not as productive as Etienne and Montrell Johnson were for Florida. But I think people can sometimes read too much into transfers when it comes to Kirby Smart teams, because I think Kirby Smart is like the I guess not anti-Dabo when it comes to the portal, because he's not like Mike Norvell or something over here, Lane Kiffin, but I think when people try to read between the lines when teams take transfers, and Modozie, that's definitely a huge need, that edge rush position. But I think Kirby Smart will take a transfer if it makes them 1% better. If it's like their 4th or 5th defensive lineman is now a little bit better, that makes the team better. And it doesn't like, Josh McCray could be Georgia's best running back next year. He could also be like the 3rd or 4th running back, and Kirby just feels better about the 3rd or 4th running back now, which is a guy with experience. So I don't necessarily know that these were all positions of weakness. Like, I think I was starting to feel better and better about the running back position, but I think when it comes to Kirby, he's like, yeah, but we could get a guy that's got like some like starter experience. Yeah, that makes our team better immediately. And if someone beats him out, like they beat out a really good player. But I think that's one thing that was missing last year, obviously, among other things in this run game, but was Frazier and Etienne are just kind of the same style back. Like every duo that Kirby's had is you had kind of the power guy and then the speed, the finesse guy, maybe you had Sony and Chubb, but you just kind of both could do both. And that's really good. Yeah. But Holyfield, more that,
Swift,
hard runner, Swift, more the side to side, shifty guy. So you've seen a lot of that. So this dude, 6'1", 245. They list him at, like, he's a bowling ball.
Dang,
So
he's
for
big.
that to go with, yeah, so him to go with Nate Frazier, had a big bowl game performance against South Carolina, over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I really like what that could potentially do. Just another option back there.
Bruiser. That's kind of what they needed with Robinson out, and the other Robinson probably out. Is you need a bigger guy.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. But
I and Will Walker is kind of the bigger guy, but I mean that's a true or a redshirt, true freshman.
He's a true freshman,
yeah, coming in. So you know, who knows how much you can rely on him this year. And Chauncey Bowens is a bigger back as well. But Elo Modozie, I think, is definitely the one that's the impact player that, like, according to everyone, like, this was like the number one guy on Georgia's board when it comes to the spring portal window. So being able to land him is massive, because that was definitely a position of need. I think I saw he's got the same measurements as Azeez Ojulari. You know, that doesn't mean he's Azeez Ojulari, but I love me some Azeez Ojulari. That man. I think since that 2020 season, Georgia hasn't had like just a pure pass rusher, I think, that's as good as Azeez Ojulari was. Really? Like Jalon Walker was obviously just like wreaked havoc, but he wasn't just that traditional pass rusher.
What about like
Ojulari?
What do you mean by like traditional? Because Nolan Smith was a great like speed rusher, and Trayvon Walker was just like an alien from another planet.
I guess just the guys that were just big time sacks guys. Like, we haven't had just the big sack guy. Like, and Ojulari just seemed like from day one, like he was just 2019 and 2020. He was a legit pass rusher.
Yeah,
it was Nolan Smith's best season. Like, I think he like 5 sacks or something his senior year before he got hurt. Like, that was probably going to be his best season, sack wise. But he was never a huge sack guy.
No, he wasn't. Yeah, I mean, Georgia hasn't had a real prolific pass rusher in terms of pure sack production since like Leonard Floyd, maybe. I mean, Ojulari,
maybe, because like Lorenzo Carter was like. And Lorenzo Carter and Devin Bellamy, both solid.
Those were both some solid bookends. Because really, I mean, Georgia had the first overall pick in the draft at edge rusher, and he had like 4.5 sacks his senior year.
Yeah.
Because it's like they just rotate so much. Same thing with like a Jermaine Johnson or a Mykel Williams, who it's like.
That's the other one I was going to say. Because Adam Anderson was that guy on the 2021 team before he got suspended and then kicked off. But so if Jermaine Johnson had been on that 2021 team, like I think he would have been the guy on that team. But yeah, Ojulari and Jermaine Johnson and Adam Anderson on that 2020 team, like that 2020 defense is so forgotten about because of what that team was on offense
too, because they really were crazy, man. At all 3 levels, they had guys.
Yeah, exactly. I think we were talking about that last week, but it's that was definitely the position that I was excited to see. Josh Horton, I'm not sure, what to expect out of that guy exactly.
You need
but are there any more additions or departures that could happen at this point? I mean, there's a couple of days left. I would think if you're gone, you would be gone by now.
Those are the new ones. I think Georgia's up to 9 now. Total, which is like not super high in the SEC. I think they're towards the middle of the pack in terms of transfers taken. So, yeah.
And lost 15 to the portal. And Michael Jackson was another one that just he's also going to go to Purdue.
Dude, they've had so many guys go to Purdue. Because Nyland Green went there, Nyland Morissette went there. And then CJ Smith went there. So Tuggle now, like,
who went to Purdue? Is there some connection at Purdue? I'm not even aware of it.
Shoot, there is.
There's got to be, right?
I forget what it is, but there is a coach. A
lot of wide receivers, so it has to be some kind of wide receiver coach, I would think. But yeah, that's nine guys they've gotten out of the portal, and 15 they lost the portal. So take that for what it's worth.
Mm-hmm. Dang, what is
this is my last thought. while you come, this is like with all the portal stuff and like Nico, I had this Carson Beck thought. Like, I just want Georgia fans to like think about exactly why they hated on Carson Beck.
You know what? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like last time I also like, what was the deal before the season that he had a hot girlfriend? He drove like a Lamborghini. Like, I'm sorry. Last time I checked, these were goals for a young man playing quarterback.
No, I agree. I don't know why people were mad about that either. If I was the quarterback for Georgia, I would do the same thing. Like,
I love the Ford Ranger that you know, that Gunner's driving, but you know, to each their own. You know, no shade there. But
if you want a Lamborghini and you can get one, get one. I think that's how.
I don't expect Georgia fans to be a fan of Carson Beck anymore. Like, he's Miami's quarterback, but like we've established, there is some like nuance to the transfer situation.
Absolutely.
Like you hate Justin Fields. Nothing personal against Justin Fields, but like, as a fan base, we hated Justin Fields. It's understandable. We thought he could do something at Georgia, and he bounced. But we still love AD Mitchell. You know, like AD Mitchell. You know, he's a transfer, but every Georgia fan loves him.
And we loved Luke Ford too.
Yeah, there you go. There's some nuance there. So I don't view him as
I think Branson Robinson is going to become one of those guys too, because he had such an unfortunate time at Georgia. But like that kid, I think everyone likes that kid, or at least they should.
Yeah. And see, I honestly started thinking this before I even looked at this Dog Nation article, because they don't have him Carson Beck listed as a transfer, because I don't look at him as a transfer from Georgia. I look at it, he's transferred from the NFL to Miami. You know what I mean? It's like
he literally declared for the draft first.
Yeah, it's like Cam Ward last year. To Washington State fans like hate Cam Ward. Like he was gonna go pro and then decided not to go pro.
Did Cam Ward do that too?
Yeah, same thing. So Miami was like,
so they did the same thing where they declare for the draft and then transfer to Miami. That's hilarious.
I guess I don't know 100% they declared, but it was like, I think it was on the table. It was like those high school recruits you saw back in the day. I mean, shoot, this is probably before your time. Shoot, now I'm thinking about it. But it's like you'd have, you know, Dwight Howard's schools he's considering. It's like, maybe Georgia, maybe Kentucky, maybe the NBA. Well, it's just like another school on his list.
Lou Williams was committed to Georgia, and then he was like, never mind, I'm going to go to the NBA. And then he was in the NBA for 20 years.
Yeah, that's true. Lou Will. Oh, man. He was growing up in Gwinnett County. He was Lewis Williams back then. But yeah, Lou Williams was legendary.
6 man like Lou Will.
I remember state tournament Final Four at Georgia Tech against Wheeler, and I felt like Wheeler played him so great. Wheeler beat South Gwinnett in this like epic game. And I was like, I felt like Wheeler kind of, you know, kept Lewis in check tonight. And then you look up the score and he had 45. And it was like, I guess not. I guess he was just the only one doing anything. But that dude was insane, just from his freshman year on too. But that's all I'm saying. You know, it's like, I don't expect Georgia fans to like Carson Beck at this point, but like, let's keep in mind what this dude did in the portal era, sat for 3 years, like waited his turn, was a baller his first year as a starter, second year as a starter. The weirdest season of all time, 2024. It was like people feel like the team was bad and they won the SEC, and they won the SEC because Carson Beck was the best player on the team. Like, say what you want, that he wasn't in the game. They were getting shut out at halftime, whatever. Or was it 3 points at halftime?
They were, I think it was 6-3 at half.
Yeah, there you go. It's like they're not in that game without Carson Beck this past year. So let's just remember that in this portal era where we got dudes bouncing on teams before the spring game. Like, Carson Beck did wait his turn, and he was a damn good quarterback. So that's my Carson Beck spiel. You know, I'm probably gonna get called out for it in the comments, but you know, it is what it is.
It's a divisive topic.
It is, for some reason, man. Let's appreciate the 2 years he was the quarterback. He was a good player. Like, let's leave it at that. You don't have to like him more than you like Stetson or Aaron Murray or something.
We're not asking.
Even though he might be in that group as far as how good he was for his 2 years, but topic for another day, maybe. But let's move on to our weekly topic, the 2025 position preview.
Yes.
And this is either the most fun one to do or the least fun one to do, because I think this is going to be the strongest position group on Georgia's team, and that's the inside linebackers. And you've just seen what Georgia's done year in and year out at this inside linebacker position, whether it's Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker, Smile Munden, Roquan Smith. Obviously, you go way back, but even the Tay Crowders of the world, the Monty Rices of the world.
Monty Rice was a beast, bro.
He's like a third-round pick. Like, he's a solid player for sure. Smile Munden is honestly one that I feel like he could have had more of a like, his ceiling could be Quay Walker. Like, I think Smile Munden's that good. He just had a lot of injuries in his time. He was probably all SEC, right? Back in like 2022 or something.
He definitely was. He was all SEC in 2023, I think.
Is that okay? Yeah, I just feel like Smile Munden is a stud, and he's like I mean, I don't know what he's listed at the combine, like what, 6'4", 240. Like, he's a beast. Super long arms.
Big, but he's 6'3", 240. Yeah, you're right.
6'3", 240. Yeah, I was always a huge Smile Munden fan. I was bummed by some of the injuries that kept him off the field last year, but he's the big one that Georgia loses, to the draft. And then, but obviously, like we said, they played so much without him last year anyway. And then they lose Troy Bowles transferring to Michigan. But this group is just so young and filled with just 5 stars and 4 top 50 players in America. And it's the most exciting group on this team, in my opinion. And what can you say about this linebacker group?
I mean, not much that you haven't already said, man. Like, I think it's definitely the best position group on this team. I think there's 4 NFL starters in that room right now. CJ Allen, Raylan Wilson, Justin Williams, Chris Cole. Like, that's a crazy talented room. I mean, they're all blue chip recruits. Even, I mean, not like G-Day is crazy proof of concept or anything, but all of them pretty much had very good showings on G-Day. They were all over the field. They had like magnets to the ball carrier. They're all some of the most freakish athletes on the team. The things Kirby Smart has said about each of them suggests that they're extremely hard workers. They're football guys through and through. Like, yeah, I mean, it's like you said, Georgia has a very long, proud tradition of fantastic linebacker play. They call them linebacker university for no reason. And I think this has a chance to be Georgia's best inside linebacker group since like 2021, when it was, Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker, Channing Tindall. Like, that was a ridiculous group. I think this is also a ridiculous group. So I'm super excited about this group. They're going to be awesome. They're going to be so much fun to watch.
Channing Tindall was a lot of fun to watch. That dude was like a heat-seeking missile.
Oh yeah, dude, he could fly.
Okay, so also just a completely, not important aesthetic point here. CJ Allen I liked a lot better as number 33.
Really?
He just doesn't fit the single digit, in my opinion. Maybe it's the Odell Thurman, the Donnell Ellerbe memories I got. He just
Monty rocks the 32 really well.
Exactly. He fit the kind of thick inside linebacker, but Chris Cole upgrade to number 9. Great to see. Chris Cole is definitely feeling number 9 right there. But then you also have Zayden Walker, the true freshman, coming in. AJ Krua, true freshman in this class. It's hard to keep guys in this room because they either go to the NFL or they're not going to play. But gun to your head, Bo Underwood, what is the order? If you have to rank the top 4 tackles, in tackles, snaps, whatever you want to call it. Let's call it tackles. Let's go top 4 in tackles in that inside linebacker group between CJ Allen, Raylan Wilson, Chris Cole, and Justin Williams.
All right. I think number 1 in tackles is going to be CJ Allen. I think he's going to be the guy who plays probably the most snaps. I think they trust him a ton. I mean, he got on the field freshman year when Jalon Dumas-Johnson went out and he played so well that Jalon Dumas-Johnson had to transfer. Like, that's the kind of guy that he was as a true freshman. And then next year, the year after that, he was even better.
I knew I was forgetting someone when Dumas-Johnson. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, that's another. That was a good player who I think was their leading tackler, pretty close to it, and he became an afterthought once CJ Allen got on the field. That's how good
he was. A Butkus finalist. I'm pretty sure in 2022.
Yeah, he was. I think he was as well. 2020, yeah, 22, 23. At number 2. I want to go with Chris Cole. I was debating between him and Raylan. I just really like Chris Cole, man. I mean, I think his background as a safety in high school really shows up in the way that he's able to read the field and just fly to the ball. And I also think that he has a ton of upside as a pass rusher that hasn't really even been discovered yet. So I'm super excited about him. I mean, all 4 of these guys are among my favorite players on the team, but he hit him especially. And then at 3, I'll go with Raylan. Raylan might be the freakiest athlete of anyone on the list. I mean, he's insanely fast. He's insanely twitchy. He again just shoots to the ball. It feels like maybe not the same coverage skills that I think CJ Allen has, or even like a Chris Cole has, but very good football player, freak of nature. I think he's going to have a very good year. And then 4 by default, but I could also see him being 2 or even 1 is Justin Williams. That's another guy who, the only reason I have him at 4 is because, I mean, all 4 of these guys are insanely talented. Justin Williams was the number 1 linebacker in the dang country when he was a recruit.
Yeah.
But he's just the one that has seen the field the least. So I feel like he's here by default. But he had like 9 tackles on G-Day, and he was in on almost every single play that he was on the field, it feels like. So
I was going to say, I was thinking I heard it was like double digits.
Dude. Like he had like 9 or 10 tackles on G-Day. And that's the thing, dude. It's just like, this is a pick your poison type of group, man. It really is. I mean, it's going to be really fun to see who are the guys that are on the field the most. It's like to look at, snap counts after every game and kind of see how they figure things out through September, October, who they want in this room and how they want their rotation to go, because it's a good problem to have when you have 4 linebackers that are this talented. You can only get them, so many of them on the field.
For sure. And I think your order is like probably the safe order. I guess maybe Raylan Wilson being the safer one, but there's so much hype about Chris Cole this year. I think you kind of alluded to it, while I would actually I'd put it in that most experienced order of CJ Allen, Raylan Wilson, Chris Cole, and Justin Williams, because I think you kind of alluded to it. It's that obviously we just added Elo Modozie in the portal to get that edge rush, but I think you're going to see Chris Cole a lot, as maybe it kind of what Jalon Walker was doing last year. He's playing some inside, some outside. He's just a freak athlete that you're just getting on the field. But because of that lack of experience on the defensive line and on the edge, I think you're going to see Georgia use a lot of blitzing linebackers this year. And so maybe he doesn't rack up the tackles because he's being used more to get after the passer. That might be my prediction. Although I want to pick Chris Cole number 1 because like this dude, I don't know. I'm loving everything I'm hearing about Chris Cole.
I kind of also want to. Like I can't, but like I want to.
But yeah, CJ Allen just feels like kind of the captain of the defense right now, kind of that most experienced, kind of that quarterback of the defense.
I agree.
So let's see. We got motivated and dedicated in the chat here. Wild West. I don't know what that means, but the other one, you got Carson, just a weirdo. So
you know
Carson's what? Just a weirdo.
He is kind of a weirdo. So I get that.
He is kind of a weirdo.
I don't know the guy.
I don't know him personally, but he's say what you want about his looks. That's what I'm saying. He's got his looks. He's got whatever he's got, and he was able to bag a pretty attractive female. So we're all trying to outkick our coverage here. So don't hate the player, hate the game here with Carson. Just doing playing the hand he is dealt.
Yeah. No,
that's all I can say. That's all I can say. Anything else to say about Carson?
I think we've said plenty about Carson. I hope he has a good season.
Yeah, I hope he has a good season for Miami, and I hope that Georgia doesn't have to play Miami at any point, and it just become a huge storyline. You want it to happen.
That'd be kind of cool though. Imagine that playoff game.
I mean, sick. it would be an amazing storyline, that's for sure. I feel like I've defended him too much. I don't want to do that to myself. Right now I can just root for him from afar, but that's then fair. It's like, you're just going to have to come face to face with it if we actually see Carson face Georgia. But yeah, and that's one interesting thing too from the whole portal was this was the year Georgia was supposed to play UCLA, and UCLA backed out of that series. So Nico was potentially going to have to face Georgia regardless of where he was playing. But now we get Marshall instead of UCLA. So that's first they cancel Oklahoma, then they cancel UCLA. It's grinds my gears. But what can we do? But let's move on to the topic that you have been waiting for, Bo.
Yes.
Our unofficial NFL draft expert, Bo Underwood, in the house.
I'm no expert.
So Georgia has been as good as it gets when it comes to NFL draft in recent years. We all know they set the record back in the 2022 draft, had 15 drafted, 5 first rounders, had 10 drafted in 2023 with 3 first rounders. And then last year, just 8 drafted, 2 in the first round. But I feel like last year was a quality over quantity year. Like all of those dudes were like year 1 impact. Bowers, McConkey, Lassiter, Bullard, Tyke Smith. Like so many of those guys were good just from day one.
Guys were good rookie year, man.
Yeah, I don't remember. Amarius Mims got hurt, right?
He did, but he held up pretty well when he was playing.
Did he? Amarius Mims, that dude is a prototype NFL offensive lineman from day one.
That guy's built in a lab.
Yeah, absolutely. Missed Amarius Mims this past year, and then I think one of the ones that didn't make an impact was Cedric Van Pran Granger, and it's in terms of the Georgia players, I feel confident are gonna succeed at the next level. Van Pran Granger is up there with the best of them.
Yeah, love said.
But yeah, so 2025, ESPN's Jordan Reed just released a 7-round mock draft. It had 13 going in this year's draft for Georgia. So 3 in the first round. Had Jalon Walker going 8th, Mykel Williams going 10th, and Malaki Starks, 26th. So what are your thoughts about? Do you think that's the order these guys go in the first round?
Yeah, I kind of think it's trending that way. I have read and seen so many things, so many mock drafts that have Jalon Walker going to Carolina. So I'm not surprised at all that you said that. I personally think Georgia's best prospect in this class is Mykel Williams. That's the guy who I would pick first. But I do think that the order is going to be Walker first, and then Williams, and then Starks in the first round. And I think Jared Wilson could follow kind of soon after that.
Yeah, I think he's the next one they have going in the 3rd round in this mock draft. But yeah, I've heard some buzz about Jared Wilson too. I feel like Jalon Walker, I would have told you honestly, late November last year, that Jalon Walker was the most underrated player in all of college football. And then this man won the damn butt kiss award. So I was like, okay, I guess he's not. I guess the secret's out. And now you're hearing all this talk about people comparing him to Abdul Carter. And I don't see a difference between Abdul Carter and Jalon Walker.
I don't know if they're that similar, though. I think Carter is much more of a traditional pass rusher than Walker is.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah.
But I definitely get it.
I think, and I heard one scout say the only reason I guess I can't forget how he worded it, but essentially the biggest reason why Jalon Walker won't succeed if he doesn't succeed in the NFL is because his defensive coordinator didn't have enough of imagination, basically. Like, just
Probably.
figure out how to use this football player. Like, this dude is just a monster.
Yeah, he's a chess piece for sure, and he's also just like, I mean, he's the son of a coach. You know, he's a very intense person, very much about his business. Like he's definitely one of those guys who is built for the NFL. I think after how good Micah Parsons has turned out to be, these kind of guys where it's like sometimes I play linebacker, sometimes I play on the edge, like those kind of prospects are starting to become more and more coveted. And yeah, I mean, Jalon Walker's a freak. I don't think he's as ready to be a impact pass rusher, not impact pass rusher. I don't think he's as much of like a crazy pass rusher as maybe some other people do. Like obviously there's a lot to like about him. I mean, his speed is crazy, his first step is crazy, but I think a lot of his sack production, like you look at that Texas game for example, I think all of his sacks came on either like blitzes or they sent him as a spy or something. Like they were very creative with how they used him in that game. And, you know, I don't know if Jalon Walker is ready to right away in the NFL line up one-on-one against a tackle and just win consistently. But the guy who I do kind of feel that way about is
I will say, before you move on from that, I think at least one or two of those against Texas was again like straight up one-on-one on Jonathan Banks, like just going at him. And I think he was like questionable going into that game or whatever. Or maybe he was. Was he questionable going into both games, or was it just the SEC championship, or was it the first one? Okay, I
think it was the first game.
So you know, maybe take that for what it's worth, but he was the best player in college football on the defensive side of the ball that week for sure. But Mykel Williams, I think he kind of falls in that Trayvon Walker mold of like he didn't necessarily have the sack production that you want out of that typical defensive end, but I feel like he just does his job like exactly how he's supposed to do his job and what Georgia asks of him. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if he was, you know, as good as Trayvon Walker or better in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a freak to me. Like I really just don't see how there's any way that a player like that can fail because, you know, Walker, there's a lot of things too like about Walker. Like Walker has so much speed and has so much positional versatility. Like he can be a great run defender right off the bat, I think. And his pass rush, I think, needs a little bit more development than maybe some people are saying. But like he's so quick and he's so fast that if he does get these one-on-one matchups, I think he will eventually start, you know, winning them just because of how fast he is. But Mykel Williams is just like a pure power rusher, but also has so much burst. And I really wonder if he had gone to a different program that was willing to just have him stand up or have him just put his hand on the dirt and kill quarterbacks every snap. I wonder what his college career might have looked like because he's insane to me. I think there's another universe where he goes to another school. Maybe he goes to Penn State or something. And he's talked about exactly the way that we're talking about Abdul Carter right now because he's a freak to me. I think that's probably like, I think that's the best Georgia prospect in this draft.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I think there's something to how Georgia uses their defensive front and just kind of, you know, you want to free up the linebackers to run around and make plays. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. The other one is Malaki Starks.
Yes.
Who had kind of maybe a disappointing 2024 season, but still a really good player. And he's projected to go, you know, late first round, which isn't surprising to me, but I will say it is surprising if you told me last year, just turn on any random game for Georgia and one of these safeties is going first round and one of them's going seventh round is where this guy had Dan Jackson going. Like, it would surprise me like that those two guys are that different because Dan Jackson looked every bit as good as Malaki Starks last year.
Yeah. Maybe not every bit just because he doesn't have the otherworldly athletic gifts that Malaki Starks has. But I do get it. I mean, full disclosure, Malaki Starks like has been my favorite player on the team for like the last 2 or 3 years.
so,
I love
so
Malaki
you
Starks.
can't be unbiased here.
I love Malaki Starks. I think he's a sick player. I mean, the fact that he can play, open field safety, split field safety. You can put him in the box. You can put him at star. You can put him at cornerback. Like, you probably shouldn't put him at cornerback because his man's coverage skills aren't that good, but you could. Like, he's just such a just versatile athlete. He's a freak of nature. He can track the ball like nobody else. I mean, when he is in position to make a play on the ball, he makes it. I mean, he can jump out of the gym and defend the ball in the air. Like, there's so many things to like about him. He's just a great leader off the field. He was the guy who was always getting them lined up. He comes from his personal story is pretty crazy. It's pretty inspiring. I mean, he was homeless from when he was like 3rd grade up until 6th grade. Had some hardship in his family. I think he lost his cousin pretty tragically. That's why he wears his number 24. Like, all that to say, like, this is a guy who like has had to work for everything that he's ever gotten, and you can't play all those different positions on defense if you're not just obsessed with football and really, really, really want to get better constantly. So I think Malaki Starks is made up of all the right stuff, and I think he will be a great NFL player. But I also think the reason that he's probably going to go last out of all these guys is, first of all, because he plays safety. The other 2 guys, Jalon and Mykel, are pass rushers. That's a premium position. So, it's like Starks plays safety, and like you said, his 2024 season wasn't what his first 2 seasons were. His Alabama tape was really bad. He's got some tackling issues. He's just not big enough to make tackles in the open field, I feel like, even though he was Georgia's leading tackler last year. So, like, I get what
I don't ever really remember him missing tackles his first 2 years either.
Dude, yeah, he was bouncing off of guys against Alabama. I mean, there was a play where Jalen Milroe like completely burned the angle on him and scored, and it's like those just weren't things that he was doing his first couple of years. But I have enough faith in Malaki Starks to believe that I think he could be the next, Kyle Hamilton, Brian Branch type of Swiss Army knife in the secondary. But I do understand the concerns with his tackling and with some of his coverage abilities, but I give Malaki Starks the full stamp of approval. I think that guy's going to be awesome.
Like, this is not an insult to Malaki Starks by any means, so don't take it that way. But I'll take Javon Bullard over Malaki Starks every day of the week, if I'm being honest. Like, really? I just love the way Javon Bullard plays the game. Just like that dude was he just seeks contact, just always by the ball. Like, huge Javon Bullard fan.
I agree. I am also a huge Javon Bullard fan. I was really upset when the Packers drafted him. He definitely does play. Javon Bullard is definitely more of a contact guy, definitely more just willing to hit people than Starks is. But Starks is also that kind of guy. He's just not as big as Bullard is. But I think he's also kind of wired like that. He just doesn't have the size and the power that Bullard did. But Bullard doesn't have the athleticism or the ball tracking abilities or really the versatility that Starks did, even though Bullard did play star too.
Yeah, I was gonna say he did play both those positions, played them great too. I don't think you're right. He doesn't have the raw athleticism and I think the ball skills that Malaki Starks does. And to make it clear for our listeners here, Bo Underwood was pissed as a Detroit Lions fan.
Yeah.
When the Packers drafted Javon Bullard, because I'm over here as just a neutral NFL guy. Like, oh, the Packers trying to do the same thing the Eagles are doing. I'm here for it. They're Quay Walker, Devontae Wyatt, Eric Stokes, now Javon Bullard as well. So got that oval G already.
That's what it is.
But yeah, so then after the first round, so I think everyone agrees those guys are going in the first round. You've heard some talk about Jared Wilson maybe creeping in. It's not that common for centers. I mean, centers can get picked first round, but I don't think that's super common. But I kind of had the guys sorted as I had as day 2 picks. Only in this ESPN mock draft, only 2 of these guys they have going day 2. They have Jared Wilson and Tate Ratledge both going 3rd round. I also put like Dylan Fairchild, Trevor Etienne, Smile Munden, and Ingram Dawkins all in that group. But who do you think is a day 2 pick? Am I missing someone?
I would agree. I think all those guys are day 2 picks. Especially Wilson, I think. I'll throw a Jared Wilson fact at you. I don't know if you might have heard this, but the Jared Wilson ran like a 4.83 at the combine. The only other 300-pound offensive lineman in history of the combine to run a sub 4.85 40 is Lane Johnson, who is a first ballot Hall of Famer for the Philadelphia Eagles and a 2-time Super Bowl champion. So I know Jared Wilson only has 1 year of starting experience, but he is a freak. And he's not, I mean, he doesn't have insane size, but he's also not undersized at all. I think he's like 6'3", 310. He has insane speed. He can get to second level, third level, even insanely fast. He's got good technique. He was a very good player at Georgia. I mean, you never really saw him blow any blocks. So I would pick Jared Wilson in the 1st round personally. Like I really would. I think he's a 1st round type of guy. And then, right behind him.
And it's not that often, before you move on, it's not that often that you lose a starter and just everyone knows who the next guy is. And it was never even a conversation. Everyone's like, oh yeah, Jared Wilson, he's a stud. He'll be perfect.
And not only did they lose a starter, they lost a 3-year team captain. Was said by Brand that he had to replace. And he did, that's the kind of stuff the NFL teams are going to look at and be like, yeah, that guy is built for this. So I'm a huge Jared Wilson guy. I really think he's going to be a great player in the NFL. And I think the 2 other guards, Fairchild and Tate Ratledge, I get it. Fairchild's only started for a couple of years and Ratledge has some injury history, but those guys are also just built the right way. Ratledge was a multi-time team captain. Dylan Fairchild was a guy who had to grind on the scout team for 2 years before he even got a chance to play. Those are guys that you want on your team, I really feel like. And I think what they did on the field speaks for itself. So Georgia's interior line was crazy this year, and I think all 3 of those guys are going to be very good players in the NFL.
I'm having flashbacks from the early Kirby years of these guys get drafted, but Kirby can't develop. Whatever those crazy narratives were early on, maybe more of a Mark Richt era. That's if Jared Wilson, Ratledge, and Fairchild are all go by the 3rd round, it'll feel even worse that this team had the 102nd ranked rushing offense in the country, and you have 3 top 100 picks in your interior line. That's just. And I know there were injuries, but even when there weren't injuries, I don't understand what happened on Georgia's offensive line last year. I've seen what these guys are as recruits, and now if they're going to go to the NFL, it'd be this. It's what? Why were they so bad in 2024?
It's the darndest thing, man. It really is.
Yeah, so maybe it's Mark Richt era flashbacks I'm experiencing. But and then Smile Munden, like we said before, I feel like his tape is as good as a lot of these other linebackers Georgia's brought out. Just the injury issues have been an issue, and I don't know. I don't think he ran the 40 right at the combine, do you know if he did?
I don't think he was completely healthy for the combine.
That may have been what it was, because I'm thinking this is a guy who the combine is kind of built for. He seemed like he was going to be a big time combine guy. Then I would say of the guys outside of the 1st round. And you can feel free to pick your own superlative of this, but of the guys you have outside the 1st round that I feel most sure they're going to have an 8-year NFL career. I say that as I think that's long. Is Terry and Ingram Dawkins. I feel Ingram, he just feels like the kind of guy that you're just going to plug and play, and might not be a superstar, but he's just going to be a solid defensive lineman. He's versatile. And he's just going to be solid for 10 years. Who was it? Was it Jarius Wynn? I think was the Packers for a while. There's just some of these Georgia players that just, you don't even remember him, or I shouldn't say I remember him, but nationally, people don't remember these guys. And then all of a sudden, you look up and this guy's been in the league for 10 years. Like Malik Herring is still in the league.
Yes, he
He's
is.
So it feels like one of those kind of guys that's just gonna last for a while.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, there's also a lot to like about Tyrone Ingham-Dawkins. Like, I mean, he is a one-of-one type of athlete. He had the second fastest 40 time among all defensive tackles. He had the best broad jump. He had the best vertical jump. He had the best 10-yard split. Like, he's off the charts athletic. The one thing that, or the two things that you kind of get worried about is like he had pretty bad injuries. Foot injury kept him out of most of 2023, and then 2024. Like you look at this guy and how athletic he is, and how quick his first step is, and all these things. I mean, he's like truly a special athlete. And then you're like, well, why wasn't he better in college? And it's just because he's just so raw. I mean, I think that he is the definition of a project player, which is why I wouldn't go as far as to say I'm completely confident that he will have an 8-year NFL career. But I do completely agree that that's entirely possible if he ends up with the right coaches and the right staff that can really help refine his pass rush moves. Because right now, it's really, when I watch him, it's like, okay, he has this insane first step that just allows him to just get past the guy immediately. But if he doesn't beat a guy off that first step, he really doesn't have anything else in his bag that he can go to. So I think that's kind of what makes him not as much of a safe bet as maybe he could be, coupled with his injury history. But like, man, I mean, the upside is so there. I mean, you saw the Kentucky game, you saw the Auburn game. It's like this guy could be a monster if it works out for him.
Yeah, I really felt like, and the injuries have definitely been an issue too. I really felt like 2025, like, could be a couple of these guys' years. Like Christian Miller and Ingram Dawkins on that defensive line, like I was gonna be excited about. And then Nate Frazier and Trevor Etienne in that backfield. Like, I feel like both of those guys had like one like breakout college year, kind of still there, but obviously I'm not, it's not a bad decision if they go get paid in the NFL. But if Etienne's a 4th rounder, which this projects him to be, is that better right than being the starting running back at Georgia? Like, financially, I'm not sure.
Well, he wasn't. Here's the thing about Trevor. Trevor Etienne has never led his team in rushing in any season he's been in college.
That's true.
And there's two ways that you can look at that. You can look at that as, oh, he wasn't that productive of a player, or you can look at that, oh, he was splitting carries his whole career. He doesn't have a lot of tread on his tires. You know, he's still going to be pretty fresh for the NFL. So I think there's two different ways of looking at that, and neither of them are really wrong, I would say. But yeah, that's another guy that I think could be a pretty good NFL player right away. I mean, I like a lot of what he did in pass protection. He was very reliable as a pass catcher type of, check down guy. He has some moves to him. Georgia didn't hit a lot of explosive runs last year, as we know. We've talked about this ad nauseum, but he had plays like he had that 50-yard run against Texas in the SEC championship, and it's like you can see it, man. Like you can see. I think he's an NFL back. I really do, and I don't expect him to ever be anybody's go-to weapon on offense, but I absolutely think he can be a productive member of an NFL backfield right away. I think he has a lot of NFL traits.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all if this guy, we look up in 2 years and he's got 1,000-yard season with like 65 catches or something. Like I was a huge James Cook. I was a huge James Cook fan. I never thought James Cook was going to be this good in the NFL. Like he's way better in the NFL than I thought.
James Cook is crazy. Yeah.
And so I wouldn't be surprised if he was, I mean, I guess I would be surprised if he's as good as James Cook to this point. But as far as coming out of college, I don't feel that much differently than I felt about James Cook in terms of like how versatile he is. I kind of expected James Cook to be like a a 50-50 pass catcher, because that was such a huge part of his game, and he's become like a straight up between the tackle like workhorse back.
Yeah, I fully agree.
And ETN feels like he's built more for that. He just body wise, like he's stout.
thicker than James Cook was. He doesn't have
absolutely.
He doesn't have the same acceleration in the open field that James Cook has, but like who does?
For sure, like, he was Georgia's best playmaker last year by far, in my opinion. Like he obviously had the suspension versus Clemson, and then missed at least 3 games at the end of the year.
3 games, yeah.
But yeah, I mean that Texas game, like he was the best player on the field for a lot of that game for Georgia, the first Texas game. And then like you said, had the big run in the SEC championship as well.
He was great against Texas in both games.
Yeah. And then the rest of the prospects they have getting drafted, I thought they were about to not have Arian Smith get drafted. Now I'm like, Arian Smith is getting drafted. This guy ran like a 4.35. Like someone is going to take a chance on that speed.
Here, the thing about Arian Smith is like, I don't know if he'll ever become an NFL receiver, but his straight line speed is so crazy. There has to be some special teams coordinator out there somewhere that is like, oh my God, I need him as my gunner.
Yeah.
I can. Are you spending
a 6th round pick on your gunner? I don't know.
I can see Arian Smith carving out a multi-year NFL career as just a special teams demon, and then maybe he gets some.
Who is it? Jason Stanley action. Yeah. Jason Stanley was a special teams.
Yeah, or like if you want an NFL comp now, I'd give you like Kaderil Hodge for the Atlanta Falcons. That's the guy who just cut his teeth on special teams for like 5 years, and now he's like an NFL guy. I think Arian Smith could do that. I mean, he's just got the craziest long speed of anybody.
I mean, we saw what he's doing at the Senior Bowl as well. Yeah. I would not be shocked if Arian Smith found a way.
Senior Bowl. I was like,
found a way to stay on an NFL roster. Like, I don't know. He's got the tools, but you got to catch the ball. That's first and foremost. I don't see Dom Lovett getting drafted. I do see Arian Smith getting drafted, though.
I don't see Dom Lovett getting drafted.
Yeah, they also have Nazir Stackhouse going in the 6th, Warren Brinson going in the 5th. That's another Warren Brinson. I feel like everything I said for Ingram Dawkins, you could double for Warren Brinson. He just feels like just a super solid defensive lineman that could play a long time in the league.
Yeah. I mean, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was going to change the topic, so keep going.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, the thing about all these guys is, like, I know you don't want to scout the helmet ever when it comes to the NFL draft, but the thing that I got the privilege of getting to cover Georgia's pro day this year about a month ago. Nice. And the thing that stood out to me, I've gotten it the last 2 years, and I really believe these guys when they say it is like they say that just Georgia practices at Georgia are so hard, and the pressure is so hard, and the coaching staff is so good. And, these guys these coaches have championship pedigrees, and they've coached so many NFL players. They know what it takes to get to that level. Like, I really don't know if there are many programs that prepare you to play in the NFL more than Georgia in terms of just putting you through a psychotic amount of work, and preparation and physicality to get there. So, like, this is a program that really does mold guys for the NFL. So I think the guys on the team, like an Arian Smith or like a Nazir Stackhouse, who were not the most productive college players, but, did show something from time to time, like, those guys are going to get chances because of what they're made of. Because you have to be – for Nazir Stackhouse and Arian Smith specifically, to keep going back to them, those guys were with the program since, 2020? And they stuck around the whole time, like, at a program like that. I really think it says a lot about them, and I think that's what kind of is going to show people that they are ready for the next level of football.
Absolutely. I think you can't, like, it's not obviously only about the name on the helmet, but like you did just see what the Philadelphia Eagles did. It's like become
Literally,
comical.
dude. Like, they won a Super Bowl by scouting the helmet. Like,
Yeah, it's like it's become comical at this point. It's like maybe we should at least be taking a second look at some of these guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's 3 first-round picks in Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and Nolan Smith. But yeah, so maybe you're not going to get those guys in the 5th round and 6th round. But it really does seem like, you know, with what this program has kind of established itself, like if you're going to take a shot on some guys in the 5th, 6th round, might as well take a shot on some Georgia players. If the Atlanta Falcons aren't going to do it, someone better do it.
Someone will. Something funny that Warren Brinson said during his pro day interview was like the Falcons staff was there, like Raheem Morris and Jeff Ulbrich, their defensive coordinator, were there, and somebody asked Warren Brinson, they're like, "Have you heard anything from the Falcons?" And he was like, "No, I don't know what's going on with them, man. I don't think they take Georgia players." And it was so funny.
Oh, wow.
Like, Warren Brinson
That's
is
awesome.
a very funny guy. Yeah, but he was totally right. The Falcons drafted, I think, Justin Schaefer a few years ago, and that was it. You know.
Yeah, it feels like a token Georgia picks, like because there's some so they can say, look, we've drafted more, because I think they did say we've drafted more Georgia players than anybody, and you look and they had drafted like 10 Georgia players in the last like 10-15 years or something, but they were all like 6th or 7th round picks. It was like Thomas Brown in like the 7th round, and like I think they drafted Akeem Dent one year, like 5th or 6th round.
Did they draft DJ Shockley, or am I making that up?
Yeah, they drafted Shockley. That was probably what, 5th, like 6th round, maybe 7th round.
It had to be in the 200s, man. No offense to DJ Shockley, but
oh man, I was so high on Shockley, and then the whole thing happened with Vic, and then Shockley tears his ACL that off season. Oh man, I was heartbroken.
He's better.
And then I was officially off the Falcons bandwagon after that.
That was it. Yeah.
Honestly, that's what did it for me. If it would have gone from Vic to Shockley, man, they would have never lost a fan. But once Vic was gone, I just didn't care about the Falcons, and I said, you know what? I'm not a bandwagon guy. I'm off. I'm off for good.
You're not the first person I've heard say
that. It was yeah, and I remember the first Georgia game the first Falcons game I ever went to. It was like 1995, and the only reason we were going was because Herschel Walker was on the Eagles at the time.
Oh yeah,
and so it was Herschel facing the Falcons. So it's like that's been in my DNA. Like we care about the Georgia players first in the NFL.
Wait, when did Herschel Walker play for the Eagles?
It must have been. I was living in my old house. My first, like 94, 95, something.
I knew he played for the Vikings and he went back to Dallas, but I did not know that he played for 2 other NFC East teams.
Yeah, he was on the Giants too, and then the Eagles.
Yeah, dang.
At one point.
Interesting.
Yeah, his stats are crazy. People talk about him like he was a bust, and his stats are insane in Dallas. Like I think he had a year with like 90 catches or something like that, and he was returning kicks. Yeah, it was insane.
Because the problem is when you're a running back, you really only have like the first 4 years of your pro career to be good, and he spent the first 3 years of his pro career.
At least 2. Is it 3 years?
He's just playing for the USFL team, the general
putting up insane numbers also.
Yeah, no, he was like USFL MVP or something. Like,
yeah, that is true. Like that's,
I wonder what he would have turned out to be if he had just gone straight to the real league. I don't know.
Yeah, because I think when they count those stats, he's like top 5 or like top 10 in like all purpose yards or something.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
but so it's like obviously he wasn't gonna put up those same numbers in the NFL, but maybe he has like a 1,700-yard rush season or something. Though. You know, dude was insane.
Yeah. Because the USFL, it's not like he did that in the XFL now. No, like the USFL back then had like some dudes in it, so it wasn't a joke of a league by any means.
Yeah, it's probably an NBA to ABA kind of jump. Like they had some legit players, but it's not the same as the league.
I think Bruce Smith was in that league.
Was.
Yeah.
And then the last one we didn't name was Dan Jackson, who they have going 7th round.
Yes, we have to talk about Dan Jackson.
So, and then the three that I wrote down that I think are the only other like eligible players that I don't think will be drafted is Xavier Truss, who could be. I mean, he's had some versatility through his years. If you're drafting the name on the side of the helmet, although Georgia's O-line play last year isn't going to do a lot to warrant that. But Xavier Truss, Ben Urosic, and then Dom Lovett. And shoot, I mean, John Fitzpatrick got drafted, right? Charlie Warner got drafted. So if Urosic got drafted, it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. The thing that I just don't think Urosic is the same. Like those two guys got drafted because of their blocking straight up. Like
yeah,
they were, especially Charlie Warner was like Charlie Warner
That's
is
fair.
making a lot of Charlie Warner has made a lot of money in the NFL now because he's just a fantastic tight end too as a blocker. I don't think Urosic is quite on that level. What do you think about Chaz Chambliss? You think Chaz Chambliss has any shot?
Of shoot, man, Chaz Chambliss, I completely left off my list. No disrespect, Chaz. Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if he was undrafted, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he snuck in 6th, 7th round. I feel like that dude, like I'm not the X's and O's guy, you know. So I'm not gonna here to tell you to run the film. Leave that to Brooks Austin and other folks. But like, I feel like Chaz Chambliss has some amazing film at times where you just see some of these plays where he just blows up a pulling guard, and it's like that he didn't make the tackle on that play, but he made the play. Like I feel like Chaz Chambliss is like
plays like that.
Exactly. He's that guy that just does his job. So I wouldn't be surprised, especially the conversation we're having of drafting, you know, that name on the side of the helmet. Like this dude went through Georgia's program for 4 years. That says a lot, and started for the last 2. Like that says a lot about just what he can bring to the table.
Yeah, and I don't think, I mean, he doesn't have, you know, freakish athleticism or really anything close to that, but he's super strong. I mean, he's like, you look at the guy and it's just like, oh my God, he's ripped. Pretty good power rusher. And also he has more coverage chops than I think he gets credit for. There were a couple plays where Schumann got kind of weird and would like drop him into coverage, and like he actually did pretty well. So I like Chaz Chambliss's game, I think, more than the average person does. So I would like to see him get a shot in the NFL. I think he can be a pretty good player. Maybe not, you know, ever a starter or anything, but I think he can be a good addition to an NFL team for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely not be surprised. And take this for what it's worth, completely out of left field here. Does Chaz Chambliss look like a teen movie like villain, like a bully?
Yeah, he kind of does.
Like he's the one like in the bully and like the kid in the locker room to take steroids or something like that. Not to say anything about Chaz Chambliss's character.
He looks like the villain in like a Rocky movie.
Yeah, I don't. Something about it, like maybe like in Stranger Things, like that villain, like something about Chaz Chambliss's vibe reminded me of that guy. I don't know.
No,
he's definitely more physically imposing. I think that dude was like 5'6", but yeah, Chaz Chambliss. Something about him. It's a good vibe. It's a good swagger to have.
I agree. I totally agree. That's a good football player vibe to have for sure.
that's the kind of insight you get when you come to this show.
Football.
Exactly. So if Chambliss were to sneak into the draft, that'd give Georgia 14 guys drafted in this class. That would be a pretty insane number. I feel good about at least at very least 9 getting drafted in this class. And I'd be shocked if Warren Brinson or Stackhouse or Arian Smith didn't get drafted.
One of those 3 at least 2.
Yeah. It's got to get double digits. So Arian Smith just running sub 4.35. Like, what did he end up? Was it 4.34? I want to say.
That sounds
like
right.
Those guys get drafted. Like you ran a 4.35 and you had like 40, 50 something catches, like 800 yards receiving. Like Anthony Schwartz got drafted, like out of Auburn. Like that dude couldn't really play. All he could do was run a 4.3.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Arian Smith definitely gets drafted. Someone's going to take a chance on that speed. Unfortunately, you're not getting like the athlete that like Mykel Hardman was. That's like the punt returner, kick returner kind of guy. Yeah, but Arian Smith is definitely, he has a skill set that you can utilize.
I agree. He can be like a Marvin Hall type of guy where it's like just let him run a 9 route every now and then, and he'll get past somebody. Like he can be that guy. Combined with I do think he can be a very good special teamer too.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the special teams aspect is definitely not nothing. I think I saw a
Really
Jameson Williams comparison at one point this offseason. I was like, whoa, let's
He's
take
not-
it easy. Jameson Williams isn't like a superstar at the next level.
He is nowhere near Jameson Williams, man.
No.
Jameson Williams hits his top speed like the second he gets off the line. The
quick twitch.
Williams, here, hold on, let me show you something.
The quick twitch ability that Jameson Williams.
I'm a huge Jameson Williams fan.
Like, there you go. There's the lion stuff again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't condone that. I want to give Aaron Smith his flowers as much as the next guy, but let's end the Jameson Williams comparison. His best case scenario is probably Mykel Hardman, if we're being honest.
Yeah, and even then, man, Mykel Hardman went in the second round.
Yeah, I don't see anything. It's not the same level of athlete, but we wish him his best. We'll see what happens. That's all I got for tonight's show. Bo, you got anything else you want to add?
I don't think so, man. I don't think so. I hope Dan Jackson goes in like the 5th or 6th round because he's a beast. That's about it, though, for me.
That could be a pick for the Falcons. That 7th round, that token 7th round. Georgia. Hey, that'll be one that Georgia fans will definitely get excited about to see Dan Jackson go off the board.
I would love that.
But I appreciate everyone who tuned in live to our show this week. We'll come at you, next Wednesday, right at 8:00 ish, like we do every week. But I appreciate everyone who's watching. Tuesday. What did I say?
You said Wednesday.
Every Wednesday? My bad. Every Tuesday.
Yeah,
Keep my on my toes there. Every Tuesday, 8:00 Eastern time. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. You can follow me at Matt_W_Green. And you can follow this guy over here, Bo Underwood, at Bo Underwood _
bars.
And don't forget that. Bo Underwood _ on the internets. So I appreciate everyone joining in, and till next time, go Dogs.